So Limerick 30 points, Waterford 19, and Limerick are the All-Ireland champions 2020. They've won the All-Ireland Hurling Championship. The Liam McCarthy Cup is going to Limerick. Well, actually, it's staying in Croke Park, but, they won the All-Ireland, so happy days for Limerick. What a win for Limerick. And look, listen, of course, I'm back here again with my thoughts and my reaction after, what was a tremendous display by Limerick, an absolute masterclass of a performance. This Limerick team, for me, have really now stamped their authority down as a great, great team. We could be talking about this Limerick team for years and years to come now because, look, listen, not only have they won this All-Ireland and they won, two National Leagues, two Munster Championships, they won the All-Ireland back in 2018. They're a very young team. They've young players and, they're getting, there's more and more players coming through now as well. And you're looking at them and you're thinking they could really dominate the All-Ireland scene for the next 5 to 10 years without doubt. And look, listen, I don't think you can start making real comparisons between John Kiely and Brian Cody. I think Brian Cody is a revolutionary manager in many ways and what he's achieved for Kilkenny. But if there's anyone that's coming close, if there's anyone on the right track, it is definitely John Kiely. And look, listen, obviously we'll speak about that a little bit later in the video, but of course we're here to break down the game, here to discuss all the big talking points on both sides of the pitch for both Limerick and Waterford. So yeah, let's get straight into it. What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron, back again with my match reaction to Limerick's All-Ireland win tonight. They have beaten Waterford, of course, by 11 points and won the All-Ireland. It just sounds weird saying they've won the All-Ireland because it literally just feels like the All-Ireland started about 2 weeks ago. It's so weird. But anyway, Limerick, fair play to them. What a huge win for them. And I suppose first of all what we'll do is have a look at the teams that took to the field here. So we'll have a look at the Limerick side here first of all. So Nicky Quaid in goal, Sean Finn, Dan Morrissey, Barry Nash, Dermot Burns, Declan Hannon, Kyle Hayes, Dara O'Donovan and William O'Donoghue in midfield, Gearóid Hegarty, Cian Lynch, Tom Morrissey, and then in the full forward line, Aaron Gillane, Seamus Flanagan and Graham Mulcahy. The Waterford side was Stephen O'Keefe, Ian Kenny, Conor Prunty, Shane McNulty, Caleb Lyons, Tyg de Burka and Kevin Moran made up the half-back line. Jamie Barron and Kieran Bennett made up the midfield. Jack Fagan, Neil Montgomery, Stephen Bennett, Desi Hutchinson, Austin Gleeson, Jack Prendergast made up the six forwards there. So, yeah, look, listen, and I suppose having a look at some of the scorers on the day. So for Limerick, obviously Aaron Gillane hit 10 points. 6 of them were from place balls. But Gearóid Hegarty, what a performance. And look, listen, I feel like the hurler of the year debate, it's shifted quite a lot. Tony Kelly was hurler of the year, then it was Stephen Bennett. Some were saying Aaron Gillane. And Gearóid Hegarty was always kind of thereabouts, But I think after that performance, I think he cemented himself as hurler of the year in my opinion. 7 points, all of them from play. Just absolutely outstanding. At times he was on the right-hand side, as a wing forward. Then he was on the left-hand side. Then he'd drift into the middle. He'd drop back into midfield. Then he'd go even further forward. He was just all over the place and in a good way. Like, absolutely outstanding. And he, for me, really epitomises just everything really about this Limerick side. Like, even look at his build, his physical, structure or whatever way you want to call it. Like, his physique. That's the better word I should use. Like, just, yeah, all around, just built, long legs, just covers so much ground when he runs. And just an all-around really, really brilliant hurler. And like a lot of the players on this team as well. Like Tom Morrissey hitting 5 points as well. Brilliant. Another contender for hurler of the year as well. Like, he's been outstanding. You're looking at Seamus Flanagan as well. Like, he's just added another dimension to this team as well. Like, and Peter Casey is a really good hurler, and I think if you're keeping him out of the team, you must be doing something right. And Seamus Flanagan, he was knocking on the door throughout the championship, coming off the bench, getting the odd goal, hitting the odd point, and he staked his claim to get in the team, and he's absolutely taken it with those 3 points that he scored today. Had a good performance in the semi-final against Galway as well. Maybe not as good, but he certainly did have an impact, and in this game he was brilliant as well. William O'Donoghue, Declan Hannon as well getting points. Pat Ryan coming off the bench getting a point. Kyle Hayes, he got a point as well, but he was just outstanding in all ways. I think it was really between him and Gearóid Hegarty for man of the match. Kyle Hayes just at times getting forward, supporting the attack. Defensively as well, brilliant. Just like getting the ball and moving it really quickly. Just when Limerick would get the loose ball, you really need to just charge out, because Waterford will try and press you and will try and keep you in there. And Cathal Hayes he just knew what to do as soon as he got the ball. He knew where his men were up the field, and he was able to just break out with the ball very quickly, and he was just outstanding. I suppose looking at the Waterford side, Stephen Bennett hit 10 points, 9 of them from place balls. Not maybe as good of a performance from Stephen Bennett as what we were expecting, considering how well he played in the Kilkenny game. But it was tough for him. I mean, Limerick done a really, really good job on him, and I think the Limerick defence in general was just absolutely fantastic, and it was very hard for Stephen Bennett really to get into the game. Austin Gleeson was great, 5 points, 2 of them from place balls, really well-rounded performance. A couple of stages maybe late on in the second half where, he hit a couple of, he let 1 or 2 float wide, and, maybe there were better options that he could have done in those moments. But I think Austin Gleeson did deliver a really good performance. Had a very good sideline cut as well, which was brilliant. And a very good performance from him. Some of the other forwards may be a bit disappointing. Like in total, Waterford only had 6 scorers today, and that's maybe a bit of a disappointment. Like Desi Hutchinson only got a point. I think Desi Hutchinson, was more of a man really for a goal threat. Like he likes to drive at players, likes to really break beyond them. And we just didn't see enough from some of the other Waterford forwards. Jack Fagan, didn't get a point in the game. Jack Prendergast didn't really contribute either. And although those players still did support the attack and they were involved and they tried to drop back into the midfield to really try and build Waterford a little bit higher up the pitch, but in all, it just couldn't work. And Limerick were just brilliant in defence in many ways. They were just so good at winning those high balls. Like you're looking, obviously, at the likes of Jermid Burns at times, brilliant. Ahead of his man, just catching the high ball. Declan Hannon as well, another potential shoe-in for Hurler of the Year. You could talk through so many of this Limerick side, and some of the intricate play as well, some of the intricate passes and flicks. It's just absolutely exceptional, and it's a joy to watch from a neutral point of view. It's absolutely brilliant. And look, listen, going through some of the big talking points in the game, and there were some interesting talking points. There were some injuries, there were some potential yellow cards, and I've seen the black card debate in hurling pop up over Twitter in the past couple of minutes since the final whistle blew, and that is definitely worth a discussion as well, because there were some interesting moments in the game. But look, listen, Limerick came flying out of the traps. They started really, really well, and they always managed the lead, in my opinion. It was actually a very similar game to the Munster final. I don't think there was that much difference between the two games. The only difference was that Limerick were a lot better. That was the main difference. Limerick probably didn't play to their full potential in that game versus Waterford. I was saying during the week in the preview that, if you were to use the analogy of 2 boxers in a slugfest, and one boxer, he knows he's going to win, he's going to get the decision victory, so he's not going to risk getting knocked out or anything like that. And that's kind of what it was like for Limerick against Waterford. They knew they knew they were going to win the game. They were always in control of the game. It was just a matter of not doing anything stupid and getting knocked out, or I suppose to say, or losing the game. And this was very similar, but Limerick just took it up another level. They were just a little bit better in what they done. And what really impressed me from Limerick was their turnovers in the midfield and even in the half-forward line as well. Like Waterford, they were trying to play out at times. Stephen O'Keefe was going short with his puck-outs, and Limerick were just brilliant at just overturning the ball. The likes of Cian Lynch, the likes of Hegarty and Morrissey, just fantastic at turning the ball over and getting points, and it worked an absolute treat. And you're looking at some of that play from Limerick at times, like that opportunity where Lynch had a 1-2 with Graham Mulcahy, and then he played it on to Cathal Hayes, forced the save of Stephen O'Keefe, like brilliant save, and obviously another save straight after from Cian Lynch. But that's just intricate play, like would have been goal of the year in hurling, in my opinion, had that have gone in, and it's probably save of the year in many ways, at least the second one from Lynch anyway. Obviously, Tadhg de Burca's injury, like that was massive. I thought Irla Daly, I didn't want to butcher his name there, Irla Daly, who came on, I thought he'd done a great job, to be fair to him. But I think Tadhg de Burca, I think he has a bit more physicality about him, a bit more experience, maybe getting better positions on their high balls, maybe get better blocks in. Like there were a few times, although Irla Daly was doing a good job at winning some of the high balls, and he did have a very good display for a young player coming in on an All-Ireland final day when you're not expected to come on. But I do think at times, not just him, but some of the other Waterford defenders, just a little bit loose with marking, letting some of the players drift away. You know, they've conceded 30 points in an All-Ireland final. Like, it is a bit rare to see 30 points in an All-Ireland final. So, without doubt, you know, there were some concerns there, but I think all in all, you can't really fault the lad too much. But without doubt, that injury did massively affect Waterford. And it was very unfortunate to see that happen. And all in all, like, Waterford really just couldn't settle in the game. They just couldn't really build any momentum. They couldn't build any rhythm. It was 14-11 at half time. You were thinking in the second half, are Waterford going to come out like they did in the Kilkenny game? But they just didn't. And Limerick just came out, you know, as strong as ever. They hit 4 without reply before Bennett's point from a free. And Limerick were just playing absolutely beautiful hurling. Like, the shackles seemed off, the pressure didn't seem there. Maybe because they were in the final and in the semi-final and Munster final, there was a bit of pressure there. I'm not sure, but in this game, they just, the shackles were off. They were just playing exceptional hurling all across the field, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful display all around. And I suppose in the end, like with Waterford as well, I felt like they were going for goals a bit too much there in the final 15 minutes. You know, they still had a bit of time. You know, I think if they had taken more points, they could have started to build a bit more momentum, but they were too focused, I found, on going for goals too much. And Nicky Quaid is a very good goalkeeper. We've seen that today. And I just think consistently going for goals wasn't the right option. I think, you know, because if in the final few minutes, obviously, in the end, it was an 11-point game, but if Waterford had taken some of them points, you know, it could have been maybe a 5 or 6 point game, and then you never know. Limerick might have got a bit nervous. There might have been a few chances. We've seen what happened with Limerick and Galway in 2018, where Limerick nearly blew that huge lead. So, yeah, you know, that probably wasn't the best way to go about it. But obviously, there are a couple of young players in there in Waterford. They are a bit inexperienced when it comes to playing in huge games like this. Not all of them, but some of them, of course. So, but look, listen, massive win for Limerick. Huge win. There were some cynical fouls in there as well towards the end of the game, like Limerick. There was a lot of high challenges in there. I remember a couple of yellow cards and a couple of I think it was William O'Donoghue, his foul on the 67th minute for a high tackle. Black card in hurling, I think, you know, it's probably going to have to come in at some stage, in all honesty, because although we don't agree with the black card in many ways, and I think referees do tend to get the black card rule wrong a lot of the time, I do think it works to a certain extent, where it doesn't work in terms of, you know, you're not going to stop cynical fouling, but at the same time, at least then you're giving the advantage to the other team for 10 minutes. And I think in this situation, I do feel like a black card maybe should come in. I did see some people saying maybe they should introduce penalties for high challenges. I don't agree with that personally. I think then the game might go a bit soft, and you'll get rid of that real physicality about hurling, and I don't think anyone wants to see that. So, so there were a couple of high challenges, and there were some concerns there for Limerick, but I do think all in all, well deserved of this victory, and they were absolutely fantastic throughout the entire game. And yeah, look, listen, you know, John Kiley, as I said before, he's on track, you know, to become a great manager, and this Limerick are on track. You know, I think, without knowing, you know, the history of Limerick's All-Irelands, you know, I know they won one in the 70s, but, you know, you'd have to go a long way back to when they won 2 All-Irelands in the space of 3 years. So, you know, this team is echoed into history now in Limerick, and, you know, it's going to be very hard to even see who stops them next year. They've won every game in 2020, so just unbelievable stuff from John Kiley and from Limerick. And what a team. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. There will be, you know, some more content coming out during the week as we build up towards the football final and hopefully the 6 in a row. But, you know, who knows? Maybe Mayo will surprise us, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to wrap this up here. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you when I see you.